My name is Rabbi Judith Siebel, and I am the Senior Rabbi at Temple Judea in Coral Gables, Florida. I am so excited to be moderating a virtual conversation today with our panelists, and they are Dana, Joanna, and Orit from the film Cinema Sabaya, which is premiering at this year's festival. Once again, thank you to all of our members, sponsors, community partners, volunteers, and all of you film lovers for participating in the Miami Jewish Film Festival. So now let's get on with our interview. I am so excited to get to speak with each of you about this film because I absolutely loved it. And I think everybody who watches it is going to love it and really feel moved by it because it is really a moving and touching film. I have to admit, I cried during some of this movie. I was laughing during some of this movie. It really, really touched my soul. So first of all, can you each tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, where you have lived, where you live now, basically your life story in, about 30 seconds, and how you got into filmmaking or acting, as the case may be. Orit, you want to start?
Okay, yes. So I'm Orit Fouks Rotem. I directed and wrote the Cinema Sabaya. I live in Tel Aviv. I have 2 kids. I'm married with 2 kids. And this is my first film, full-length film. I did a few shorts, and I studied filmmaking in Sam Spiegel School. And I'm very excited to be here.
Joanna?
So I'm Joanna Said. I come from a little village up north of Israel called Kfar Yasif. After high school, I went to live in Jerusalem for about 7 years. I started with languages, then studied a bit of theater. After that, performance art, and I always try to come around to cinema somehow until I gave up acting and started actually editing and studying, taking courses in editing movies and videos. And at some point I had an email from lovely Orit looking for Arab actresses. And apparently she saw my picture and thought, okay, she's the one. And that was my first feature film and ever experience in cinema. So I'm proud that the movie is doing so good. And like you said, it's touching also many people. And now I'm back in the North and trying to make it as an actress, I guess, full time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Dana?
I was born in Tel Aviv, and I'm still in Tel Aviv now. I have 2 boys and a husband, and I'm an actress ever since I can remember, actually, an actress and musician. I started my first proper job was when I was 9. And yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
I almost asked you also, what is your dream? But I'm just kidding. From the film. I love that part. There's just so much to this film that is just so really beautiful. Orit, I was wondering for you, where did you get the idea for this film, and what was sort of the process that you went through?
I got the idea from my mother. She is the Hadera, which is a small city between Haifa and Tel Aviv. She's the advisor for women's issues for the mayor there. And she participated in a group like similar to the one in the film. She studied film photography, stills photography with Arab and Jewish women, and that gave me the idea for this platform of women observing their life from a different angle, learning to know themselves and each other through the video camera. And I started making a research myself by doing those kind of groups in Accra and Givat Chaviva in Israel. And I wrote it while I did those kind of groups.
Thank you. I was wondering about that. And in terms of the, I don't know, if I'm just curious about, like, was it hard to get funding for this type of film because it does sort of bridge, you know, some cultural divides, or was it easier because of that?
It's not easy to get money to make a film, especially first film.
In
It's
Israel.
really a
I don't know how it is in
few films a year. And so it wasn't easy, but it wasn't also, it took a lot of time, not just because of that. It took a lot of time I worked on this film from like 8 years since I got the idea until I shot the film. And it was because of I needed to figure out how to make it. In the end, I understood it only while we shot the film. And in the rehearsals, we didn't really rehearse, but in the conversation I had with the actresses and Dana especially, we had a long process. So funding it was not the most difficult part of making it, but still it took a while.
Thank you. So I guess this question is more for Joanna and Dana. What was the experience like when you were making this film? Because to me, as a viewer, it just seemed very intense, especially, you know, certain parts of it. But that, I mean, the whole thing was pretty intense, you know, and I'm just curious, not all films are like that. I don't think, but what was it like? You know, what was the process like for you?
Well, I don't know if intense would be a word that I would come to my mind. Maybe Joanna would identify a bit more, I think, with this word. But it was very funny because we shot for only 12 days, so which is very intense. But we were in one location and 2 cameras, and we didn't rehearse at all, but we really knew what we were going to do. I mean, it was very planned, not rehearsed, but planned. So we would sometimes have like 20-minute, half an hour long takes. And it was all very scripted, but the way we had to act was to react and just be there in the moment. And everything was really planned well. So at some point for me, I felt that it's not even a film, that I'm actually there and I'm watching all those exercises, because Orit didn't want us to see the exercises before. So we actually saw them for the first time while we were shooting. And our first reaction was shot, and there was always it was always more important to react to the moment and to be there and to feel what's going on than say the text. All the text eventually we said it, but so it was a very different environment. And although like the schedule was really tight, there was a lot of space and a lot of breath. And sometimes a lot of people watch it and think it's a documentary. And I think even for us, at some points, we felt like it was a bit of a documentary, because we could forget about the cameras and really just interact with each other. So that was very special.
That was, I promise, Joanna, I'll let you speak. But that really came across. I mean, it really does feel like a documentary. And then, you know, I had to check myself a few times. I'm like, wait, this is not actually a documentary, right? I had to go check.
That's amazing. That's the best compliment. Like, even people that know me in Israel are like, so yeah, so it's a documentary. She gave them a workshop and and I'm telling them, like, people who know me, even like from like just know me as an actress, or even people from my family thought it was a documentary. I'm like, but you know, I'm not a director, right? And they were like, yeah, but maybe, yeah.
It definitely
People
works.
keep complimenting me about the film after screenings, especially in the US. They were like, how did you manage doing it and being filmed? And it's not me, sorry.
All right, well, we'll go to Joanna. Joanna, it's true. It must have been, I guess, maybe I'm thinking more about for you. It must have been so intense. I mean, your character's role it's intense. And I mean, there really were parts where I was just, I don't know, I really connected with, what your character was going through. I think a lot of viewers will. And even if even if we ourselves haven't been through that, that experience, you got it across very well, beautifully and powerfully. So what was that
Thank you.
like for you?
So I would say the word intense would apply to some of the days. There were truly a space for us to be ourselves and interact, because like Dana said, the videos, the exercises, we didn't see them before, so we had this chance to interact and react to what we're seeing in a genuine way, and then have a conversation with each other as a group about what we're seeing. We knew that there were things that we had to bring up into those reactions at some point, like cues of like, okay, now back to the text. But then a lot of the time it was just us being us, in the limits of the character, in the limits of where the character is coming from, what kind of personality she has, what kind of role she's playing in the movie. So I can't be coming up with this feminist ideas and discussions because my character is not there yet. So it was really interesting also having this limit to myself, knowing when does Suad stop being Suad and becomes myself, and needing to like go back into, okay, I'm not myself right now. I need to respect the backstory of this character and respect her struggle, which is, I always say, this character, because of the amazing work that director Orit did, is not only bring a story of true women, but make that story ours too, in many ways. So I got to bring my personality and my struggles and my baggage into this role. So most of the things that was going on set with me internally was real. It wasn't played or just for the sake of the character. It was something that I was going through, and like I always said, that moment that when the intensity just explodes, that was all real, and that was my own resistance to expressing those emotions in front of these women that brought stories that I had no idea if it was really in their lives or it was just their characters. So there was always this confusion for me, which was excellent because it kind of gave me a chance to also use that confusion to bring things that would be extremely hard for me to bring out in real life. And I brought them there on set, because I had this mask of the character that helped me just bring the darkest parts of me without being scared of judgment or of being overexposed.
I think that's one of the real the things that comes out in the film very beautifully. What you just said it so well, Joanna, that it's, at first I thought, oh, okay, each person represents, a certain demographic. Okay. We have the older woman who, each one is a different demographic, but that's not it. It's really, I think what you said, which is that each woman kind of has something that probably all women either have experienced some part of or want in some way, right? Like the woman, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, who was living on the yacht by herself, on this sailboat by herself, with the dog, and it's like,
Levy, yeah.
Yeah, I loved her character because it was like, oh yeah, like everybody kind of maybe might want that at some point in some aspect of their life, but she's living it. And yes, maybe everybody has experienced some of the little tastes of different parts of each woman's experience, but that's how, we, as I'll say, we all as women connect in some ways, and as mothers, daughters, wives, etc. It really, the film so beautifully gets at that. So I'm curious, one of the things that I loved about this is that I really did want it to keep going. I want you to know, like, I did not want it to end. And when it ended, I was like, there's gotta be more. So I was so excited to get to speak with you. So my question is, are there any particular like stories or anecdotes that happen, behind the scenes that you want to share with us? That's our little taste of a little something more.
Of course. Go ahead, Joanna.
Oh, geez, okay. It's actually very interesting. Because each story, I always say that Orit is like God on set, because she has this personal communication with each one of us, and she knows the backstory of each one, but we don't know about each other. We don't know what the character is really coming from. So she had, and she would go and say like to one of the characters, okay, now do this way, or okay, bring her a little bit to the edge, but it wasn't like for everyone. It was really just individual, and it was always surprising. I was always surprised. I would just take the text and like, no use for it. It's like too many things changing, and I just have to be okay. So actually the scene where we have the tackle, the text said like, some sort of contact. We don't know. We'll see, like as it happens. And then at some point, Ori said, okay, no physical contact. Just, I'm like, okay, let's see, like where does it take us? And actually, Lior Levy, because we had this wonderful relationship on set and offset, that actually developed through the days of shooting, because we didn't meet outside of the set, which actually was planned that way. So we develop real relationships as the days go by. And she actually planned in her head something, and I agreed with her that, okay, you can just take it to the end with me. Like, don't be afraid. Just let me have it. Let me get to that point where I actually want to jump on you. But we didn't say anything else. And the surprise was she decided by herself or with Orit or something. I wasn't in on it. And she pushed herself back. And I freaked out because I thought, okay, I might have actually hurt someone right now. But in the same time, I'm in the character and I have to run out of the set. And they continue shooting for another 20 minutes. And I don't know what's going on. I'm crying, everyone is in tears, and I don't know if because she's hurt or because the scene is going so well. And it was just really like all of those. That was for me the top of like emotional adrenaline release. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, a lot of ups and downs, that's for sure. Each day was an adventure, if I can call it that. Dana, you go ahead.
There was, yeah. So actually, Orit and me, we thought a lot about whether the character of Rona should be exposed or not. And we really didn't decide, I think, up until the end. We had, of course, we had this story and we had scenes that we even shot a lot of scenes that never made it to the movie, because every time we would shoot something personal about Rona, we would feel like, no, it felt wrong. It felt like it's breaking the real feeling of the film, that the documentary feeling. Suddenly it's becoming like a classic film. Okay, and now we're going to tell you about the moderator. So we even had a day of additional shootings after, and nothing made it into the final film. And we decided to leave it like that, to leave it as a mystery, which is really very much like, like life. You never know about your shrink. You never know about so many things about the moderator, about the teacher, maybe not even about the rabbi. I don't know. But we do have a picture of me. Maybe it's a spoiler. Maybe we won't spoil it. Did they all see the movie? Everyone that's hearing the Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay. So the picture of me kissing my sister is my real sister. So that's like my real sister. And there's a lot of things who are real, like Yulia Tagina, the one that's playing the divorced character that lives at her mom's house.
Yep.
with her girls. That's really her living in her mom's house with her girls.
Oh, wow.
And Leora Levy on the boat, it's really her boat, really her dog, her
Really?
life. And there's a lot of things that are really real, you know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that moment when you said, your character says, it's my sister. I mean, it was just like that was just so powerful too. Like, you were like, everything could change right now, everything. And then, you know, you're like, but does it matter? Your character, does it matter? I mean, oh,
Yeah.
that was so good. It was, they're just, I mean, so here's the thing, we're going to have to wrap this up soon. And I want to like keep talking to you because I have so much more I want to talk to you about and that I love. I do want to know though, just, you know, in the big picture, I mean, you know, the film does not really deal with politics or political issues specifically, but it really does. You know, it does really kind of get to some of the really core issues. And I would say, as a rabbi, like to me, it really does deal with, you know, one of the central ideas for us as Jews of, you know, recognizing every person as being made in the image of God, but B'Tselem Elohim. That's very, you know, to me, that was like a very strong underlying message. But, you know, do you sense any, or did you feel any of that kind of real tension in the making of the film? Because, I mean, you did have people of different backgrounds. Did that come up, or did that come up in the making of the film? I guess is my question.
Yeah,
Why don't you go first, Orit?
it came up, especially when we shot the scene where there's the political issues arise. I think that the actresses like Amal Murkus, who plays Nasrin, and Dorit Samuel that plays Etty, they were afraid that they are like the representative of all the Arabs and all the Jews. Yep. And they wanted to be really sure that they represent something they believe in. And so it took us like much longer than what you see in the film. It was like an hour and a half, this scene that passes like in a few minutes. But that was the only place I think I felt it. All the rest of the shooting, it was just women that has certain chemistry with other women. It wasn't like the Arab women were separated from the Jews, and the friendship were really surprising. And I think it really wasn't an issue in a way, except when we talked about it.
Yeah. It was actually very interesting that in those moments there was that intensity, because again, the conversation was genuine. So also the reactions were, oh, we're actually fighting right now, right? We're actually verbally shouting, and yeah, there is this intensity, but in the same time, we saw the reality of it all, that when that ends, we all just hug and kiss and go eat with each other. And yeah, it's real life. It's wherever you have this chance to open a difficult conversation and you have this, you know, emotions that just want to rise, and that's normal. Then when it's over, we're still human. We still love each other. We still live in the same place. We're there for 16 hours a day, you know, cooped up together, and had to. And it was interesting that we saw like these friendships that weren't just like where it says Arabs or Jews. No, it was all just me actually protecting another, and another protecting me, and just like everyone, just humans, just basic human nature. And it was wonderful to see that it was beyond politics and beyond these labels that we have here usually.
Dana?
That's also what you saw in the film. I think what you were talking about, this just looking at women as women and not as you know, Arab or Jews or any other, or religious or Muslim, or that's the political action of the film.
Right.
I think that's like a very strong political statement, that you get to see this day-to-day life and just the women's lives and struggles and thoughts and just being together in the same space, which is the political reality that we live, but not from the army's point of view and not from the politician's point of view, and just putting the focus on that is, I guess, what we wish politics would be a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, I do believe that, that's where peace will come, that shalom, that we'll find peace in those relationships between one another. And I think this film really, truly will help people to understand that, I hope. It's a
Amen.
magnificent film. I wish you all the very best of luck. I hope you'll maybe do some more. I mean, really, I did not want this to end. I really didn't. Not on the film. I mean, I really
Thank you.
you could do a
so
sequel.
much.
Come on. Thank you. It's time for me to wrap this up. Unfortunately, I can't believe it. That went way too fast, but I do want to thank each one of you so much for joining us, Joanna, Dana, and Orit, for creating such a magnificent film. And once again, we want to thank all of our members, the sponsors, the community partners, the volunteers, everybody who is involved, and of course, all the film lovers for participating in the Miami Jewish Film Festival. Thank you so much. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.